It's pizza time, dudes! Your friendly neighborhood double RPG is here, with episode 14 up for a review in the 2012 Ninja Turtles show. We all know that Donnie has a crush on a human female that we all know and love, but there is a new girl in town, hence by the title, and she becomes Leo's crush while she secretly is trying to seduce him into the dark side. No pun intended to the Star Wars reference. Anyway, we are met by Karai, who is Oroku Saki's daughter, or so it may seem. Do looks count toward the reception of her character, or is there more to her than meets the eye? Watch my review to find out. Our episode begins with the Turtles chasing down Snakeweed, who we have not seen since episode 2, and he gets away from them while taking the pizza delivery guy as a hostage. Oh no, bad news for Mikey! Leo wants to devise a plan to ambush the mutant from up top, but Raph procrastinates in saying that they should continue to chase him. Leo still insists while he berates Raph for his questioning, and the others follow suit. They plan a launched assault from up above, but they see that the killer plant has escaped, which leads Raphael to complain and berate his brother even further. Being fed up by his brother's constant criticism, Leo hands over the role of leadership to the hothead, and leaves in needing space from this outcome. Leo begins questioning why his brothers don't go as far as to thank him for being a great leader, but those thoughts are put on hold when the Foot Clan come in to duke it out with Leo taking down most of the normal grunts one by one. However, another one appears out of nowhere that happens to be a female. Shocked by her appearance, the Kunoichi throws blinding powder with her knife to stagger Leo's vision, and she takes him down only to spare his life in the process. The female ninja reveals her name as Karai, and leaves the turtle in bitter defeat. Leo heads back to the sewer lair while Raph and the others try to determine Snakeweed's location, and the hothead's commands is about what you would expect. As Leo arrives, Mike and Don try to console him based on the itching eyes from the blinding powder, but Raph does what he usually does best. Don interrupts things to notify everyone where Snakeweed's lair is located, and Raph insists to the former leader that he shouldn't be here, to which Leo agrees. Leo watches his favorite show to get a glimpse at the outcome that occurred with him and the scuffle with Karai, and Splinter comes out to wonder why his brothers are not around. Leo tells that because of Raph's constant criticism that he handed the role of leadership to him, but Splinter tells his son that the decision is not for him to make. A lecture ensues that the role of leadership is not about appreciation for the role, but it is more about responsibility to ensure safety and victory for the team. As he finishes, Leo is forced to go find his brothers based on the partial evidence of where Donnie pinpointed the plant's hideout. Leo heads up to the surface to search, and that dangerous Kunoichi comes back to have more fun with the dual katana guru. In between this great battle between the ninjas, the turtles search for Snakeweed from underground, and eventually discover his lair. They find the hostages who are all trying to be disintegrated into fertilizer, and they cut them free. Snakeweed emerges from the shadows to fight off Raph and his crew for their interference, and Leo continues his fighting with Karai from up above. Karai's words about the Shredder's motive don't interest her at all personally, but does on a job-based level, and she insists that her conflict with the turtle doesn't bore her as much as the Shredder's mission. The fighting continues on with both of them having equal prowess towards each other, but with the Kunoichi still gaining the upper hand in some regard. Their tiff concludes with Karai telling Leo to meet her at the Byerly building at midnight, and she flees with Leo left in shock and awe from her agility and reflexes. The fight with Snakeweed isn't biting over for Raph and the others, and they end up retreating with an unconscious Michelangelo and Sap on their shells to give off their locations to the plant. Leo arrives at April's apartment to tell her about Karai, but ends up getting scolded by her when learning she is a Foot Clan soldier. Meanwhile, Karai is scolded by Shredder for letting Leonardo escape, but is given a second chance to redeem herself as he leaves, with Karai calling him father. At the sewer lair, Raph and Don help Mike to the couch, with Splinter wondering where Leo is and to what happened to them, and Raph explains that everything was his fault as he'll go look for his brother to give him his leadership back. Don says that he'll find Leo at the Byerly building based on a text that April sent to him, which makes him very giddy, temporarily. On the rooftop near the Byerly building, Karai shows Leonardo the famous sword that belonged to Musashi Miyamoto, and the Kunoichi tries to persuade him in stealing it, much to his refusal. Karai becomes disappointed with his decision, and delivers a submissive blow only to be stopped by Raph's arrival. Leo introduces the two to each other, and Raph continues to wonder why they know each other. However, it is cut short when Snakeweed arrives. Another fight ensues with the plant, and the killer weed has the upper hand with Leo calling out for Karai's help. She throws her blade above Leo's head to give him help before she flees, and the rest of the battle works in the two's favor. The battle ends with Leo stuffing an antifreeze canister down Snakeweed's throat, Raph igniting it with one of his sais, and smashing the plant into many pieces. The two concede with them settling their differences, and they head back home to help Mikey recover. They succeed in giving him pizza to wake him up, and Raph brings Leo over to wonder what his deal is with Karai. Raph insists that she tried to hurt him, but Leo believes there is more to it than meets the eye. He walks off with her blade in hand, and episode 14 wraps up. I haven't been that talkative about the details since episode 6 and 7, and that was a mouthful! Either way, it's the good and the bad as how we usually do things on this agenda, right? Right. Now, the first thing that I have found to be really great was the character Karai. When getting a glimpse of her character design looking like that of a monkey, I was kinda skeptical that this would have went the wrong way. But her personality and her voice being played by Kelly Hu from X2 X-Men United fame made me very intrigued by her. I mean, just the way that she is cunning and deceptive even to Leo while maintaining that foreboding atmosphere around her to garner Leo's crush caught me hook, line, and sinker. Even though the Turtles give Donnie a hard time with his crush on April, it won't be the same for Leo as the female is more in league with the Foot Clan. Her portrayal as a teenager was a nice change for her character as much as April as well. This whole charade between her and Leonardo reminds me heavily about the dynamic between Leon S. Kennedy and Ada Wong in the Resident Evil franchise. It's that similar. Leo's fights with Karai really stood out in the episode as the character development for the fearless leader was much needed even after this long. Leo hasn't had that much development as a character, and now it was about time for that. Some of the other awesome things were Leo's funny dynamic with April when discussing about Karai, as well as Michelangelo wondering why things stink in the sewer when near Snakeweed's lair. I think we may be at the point where Mikey's unorthodox behavior from past episodes can be more overshadowed by what we see as of now. Or does it? Now, let us look at the bad. Probably the one thing that makes this episode suffer is the fact that Snakeweed becomes more of an afterthought because of Karai's debut. It was nice to see him make a return, and while his character isn't really that big as most others, I felt his appearance could have been placed elsewhere. It was more of the same when it comes to the villains that have already been established by doing all sorts of things that are just recycled and repeated over and over again. It gets tiresome in some time. The other thing that made my head hurt is Raph's work in being the leader of the Turtles. I'm gonna be honest, everything came from what you would expect him to do as a temporary leader. At least he acted a better temporary leader in the 2007 film than this. I mean, not even strategizing and having a tough time shouldering the responsibility makes many believe that Donnie should have been placed in charge. In other words, he acts as the much better leader in Leo's absence. Who would want to follow a leader who commands the same strategies only to have no others to back it up? Worst leader ever! He definitely plays out more like Starscream in Transformers, but isn't prideful in wanting to be leader as Raph maintains his kindness and love for his brothers firsthand. Overall, episode 14 was another home run for Nickelodeon. Some people may think that Karai's new design is bad, but I think there's more to her than just the looks. Plus, the character development of my favorite turtle only added more to the appeal of the episode's story. Episode 14 is easily rewarded, a 10 out of 10. What's the count for perfect scores? 3, 4, or 5? Oh, I don't know, but go watch this one as it's definitely worth the watch. Well, Ninja Turtles fans, we hit that time again to where my review of this episode has come to a close. Tune in next time for the next episode called Alien Agenda. We have the Turtles, Foot Ninja, Karai, and the Krang in this episode? Looks like the pieces are starting to come together for some things in comparison to the past shows. We'll have to see how that goes. Anyway, be sure to rate and favorite this video as well as leaving your positive and negative feedback in the comments below. Oh, and be sure to hit that subscribe button or else Karai may be within the shadows to deliver a good butt kicking. Just kidding. Anyway guys, take it easy and I'll see you next time. Booyakasha!